Good morning to you from Mission Control Houston. It is Monday, July 23rd, 2012. This is a live look inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center. We want to welcome you to today's ISS update. It is a busy day for the crew of Expedition 32 on board the International Space Station. This team here in Houston today is being led by Flight Director Tony Sikachi. He is there on the right-hand side. Sitting beside him is Tomas Gonzalez-Torres. He is the on-console flight director that is training. He, of course, is a former spacewalk officer. Namely, he did STS-125, which was the final mission to the Hubble Space Telescope. But he's been learning how to be a flight director over the last several months, and he is training there with Tony Sikachi. The crew on board currently consists of Gennady Padalka, Sergei Revin, and Joe Acaba, which you see there on the far right-hand side. There's Revin, and then Padalka second from the right, Joe Acaba there in the middle. The newest half of Expedition 32 is there on the left-hand side. That is Akihiko Hoshide on the far left side of the screen, Yuri Malenchenko there second from the left, and Sonny Williams there in the middle, right beside Acaba. The big news of today is that the crew is in the middle of operations getting ready for the redocking of the Progress 47 cargo vehicle. That cargo craft undocked from the station, the Piers docking compartment, last night at 3:25 p.m. Central Time. It backed away from that docking compartment, performed a 16-second automated separation burn as it backed away from the Russian segment of the International Space Station, and it moved out to a distance of about 100 miles away from the orbiting complex. It is going to be redocking later on tonight at 8:58 p.m. Central Time. We'll have live coverage here on NASA TV at 8:15 p.m. The reason it is doing this is to test out some brand new Coors equipment that is on that Progress spacecraft. Coors is the device and the technology that allows these Progress and the Soyuz to automatically rendezvous and dock with the Russian segment of the International Space Station. They have upgraded some of these systems that will allow it to perform an easier docking and also use fewer antennas on board. So this Progress 47 backed away yesterday afternoon and will redock tonight to the very same docking compartment. Again, we'll have live coverage tonight beginning at 8:15 p.m. Central Time, with the actual redocking taking place at 8:58 p.m. Central Time. In order to support this, the crew has a split shift of a sleep period today. The Russian crew will go to sleep at 10 a.m. Central Time, about 1 hour from now. They'll sleep for about 5.5 hours. They're going to wake up at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. They will support the Progress redocking that we just talked about, and then they'll go back to sleep at about 10:30 p.m. Central Time, and we'll sleep for 9.5 hours, waking up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. The U.S. side of the crew will go to sleep at their normal time of 4:30 p.m. Central Time later on today. They'll sleep for about 3 hours and 15 minutes. They will wake up at 7:45 p.m. Central to support the Progress, and then they will go back to sleep at 9:15, sleep for about 5 hours, 15 minutes, and then we'll wake up about an hour and a half later than they normally would at 2:30 a.m. Central Time. So a split schedule for the crew today. All of this in order to support this Progress redocking, which will take place later on tonight. However, there is some experiment work taking place today while the crew is up getting ready for tonight's activities. Sonny Williams has been working on an experiment that we've talked about before called BASS. This is the Burning and Suppression of Solids experiment. This is one in which they take a look at how flames behave in space. There's different types of materials that they burn up there. There's different types of fuel samples. This experiment is very interesting because it takes a look at how you extinguish a fire, which fire obviously behaves quite a bit differently up in space. Here on Earth, if there's a flame, you typically would aim your extinguisher or whatever you're using to put it out down at the base of the flame. That's because that's where the air enters the flame. It's where the flame is most stable. But of course, up in space, you don't have that kind of effect. So how you would put out a fire up there in zero gravity is quite a bit different. This is a look inside that glove box where the BASS experiment resides. You see one of these small spheres, these fuel spheres burning, as Sonny Williams performed this experiment up there in the weightless environment of space, taking a look at these flames. Williams is also busy taking some sound measurements today using what's called an acoustic dosimeter. She's also reviewing procedures for medical ultrasound operations, and she also has a ham pass later on today where she will use the ham radio on board to talk with some students and some people at the Rochester Institute of Technology there in New York. And she's also working on an experiment called VIABLE, that stands for the Evaluation and Monitoring of Microbial Biofilms inside the ISS. And she also has some crew orientation time, which, having just been there for a few days, she and the rest of that Expedition 32 crew is still getting used to their environment up there. Of course, most of them have been up there before, but they still take some time to learn the new surroundings and the emergency procedures and all of that. Akihiko Hoshide is working on the functional checkout of the diagnostic kit and medical laptop on board. He is reviewing reference material for the integrated cardiovascular experiment, which is one of the experiments on board that takes a look at how the human body, and namely the heart and the muscles and the veins, react to being up in space. And he is also doing some onboard training, getting ready for the arrival of the Japanese HTV cargo ship, which you see there, broken out the different sections. That pressurized logistics carrier, which you see on the far left-hand side, that is the portion that will be mounted to the space station. There's also an exposed pallet down there in the unpressurized logistics carrier. This HTV can carry up items both pressurized and unpressurized, and the crew will take care of unloading all of that cargo over the next several weeks. But HTV launched last Friday night, which you're seeing playback of here. It was quite a rainy and cloudy day there at the Tanegashima Space Center. But the Japanese HTV-3 cargo craft on board its H-2B rocket, which is just a gigantic rocket, did lift off on time at a little after 9 p.m. Central Time. That was 11 a.m. there locally. Quite a cloudy day. There was some rain in the area, and the rocket disappeared into the clouds just a few seconds after liftoff. But it did have an uneventful and successful 15-minute ride into orbit. It is currently on its way toward the International Space Station, and then it will rendezvous and berth Friday evening. We'll have live coverage of that, of course. The grapple scheduled for 7:05 a.m. Central Time, 8:05 a.m. Eastern Time there Friday morning. Joe Akaba will be in charge of actually performing the robotics operations, grappling that cargo craft, and then Akihiko Hoshide will take over after that, and he will be the one actually installing it on the Harmony node of the International Space Station.